Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're plunging into a world where, well, things get pretty strange. Think talking cats, fish falling from the sky.
And where your deepest fears might actually be mapping out your future, it's a reality that bends and twists.
Exactly. We're embarking on a deep dive into Haruki Murakami's incredible novel, Kafka on the Shore.
And it really is incredible. It's more than just a story, isn't it? It's this deep look at fate, memory, identity.
Yeah, and how Murakami uses magical realism, not just as fantasy, but to show us psychological stuff, making inner turmoil almost, well, tangible.
That's a perfect way to put it. Tangible.
So for this deep dive, we've looked at, the novel itself, critical analyses, all sorts of things.
Yeah, pulling out the key insights.
Our mission really is to give you a shortcut to understanding this complex, captivating book. Because reading it,
Yeah.
it's like living in a dream, right?
Completely. It forces you to sit with ambiguity, maybe some discomfort, longing, awe.
It's definitely not about neat answers.
No, it's more about learning to live bravely with the uncertainty, I think.
Okay, so let's unpack this journey. It starts with Kafka Tamura. He's 15, he runs away.
And it's not just, typical teenage running away. It's driven by this really chilling Oedipal prophecy.
The prediction that he'll kill his father.
Right, and sleep with his mother and sister. I mean, that's the psychological engine driving him right from the start.
And what's fascinating is he's got this voice in his head, doesn't he? This boy named Crow.
He does. Crow is like this internal critic or maybe an alter ego, constantly questioning if Kafka's ready, if he has enough money.
But also pushing him.
Yeah, pushing him too, saying things like, you really need this money and you're gonna get it. Beg, borrow, or steal. So it sets up this immediate internal conflict.
It's not quite a conscience then.
No, maybe more like a reflection of his deepest fears and his determination all mixed together.
So alongside this inner turmoil, he has a place he turns to, a refuge. Libraries seem really important to him.
Oh, hugely important. Since childhood. He calls the library like a second home. Or maybe more like a real home.
Right.
He just devoured everything. Novels, biographies, history. And music, too. Found Duke Ellington, the Beatles, Led Zeppelin through library CDs.
So knowledge, art, they're really woven into his identity.
Definitely. Which makes sense when he gets to Takamatsu, this town he runs away to. He's specifically looking for the Kimura Memorial Library.
Not just any library, then.
No, it's this unique private library, but open to the public, famous for rare books, this elegant reading room he saw in a magazine photo.
So it's like a destination, a goal in itself, seeking safety and maybe understanding.
I think so. A place of intellectual nourishment in all the chaos.
And it's there he meets Oshima, who's introduced as a lowly assistant.
Right, but he's much more than that, isn't he? He's helpful, observant right away. He guides Kafka into the library stacks.
You can almost smell the old books.
Exactly. That scent of knowledge and emotions, calmly resting between the covers. And Kafka chooses the Arabian Nights to read, stories within stories.
A hint of what's to come. And Oshima becomes a sort of guide.
A philosophical guide, definitely. A really crucial figure for Kafka.
Okay, so while Kafka is on his journey, Murakami introduces this whole other storyline, maybe even more surreal. Let's talk about Nakata.
Ah, Nakata. Yes. His story starts way back, 1944. A mysterious incident during the war.
Where he and other school kids just fall unconscious.
Yeah, in the woods, no physical explanation found. But the teacher involved later confessed she changed facts in her report out of fear. She said the memories remain with us forever, like a touchstone.
So right away, we get this theme of buried trauma, unreliable memory.
Exactly. It hangs over everything. And Nakata, well, he lost his memory, his intellectual abilities in that incident.
But he gained something else, something extraordinary.
He gained the ability to talk to cats.
Talk to cats. Okay. What does that signify here?
Well, it's described as representing communication with the soul, a way of bridging different worlds. He seems simple, maybe childlike, but he's deeply connected to the metaphysical, the unseen.
And this ability leads him somewhere incredibly dark. This encounter with Johnny Walker.
Yeah, and definitely not the whiskey brand. This Johnny Walker is this grotesque figure. He collects cats.
It's horrible. He cuts off their heads, eats their hearts to make a flute.
A flute to collect human souls. It's incredibly disturbing, very visceral.
How does Murakami use something so almost cartoonishly evil? What's the purpose there?
It's a fantastic question. I think it embodies this pure, almost primal evil. It's not subtle. It's a direct threat to the soul itself. And Nakata, in this moment of horror, actually kills him. with a knife.
And then tries to report it?
Tries to report it to a policeman who, understandably, just doesn't believe him. The world isn't equipped for Nakata's reality.
No kidding. So after that, Nakata ends up with Hoshino, the truck driver.
Yeah.
An unlikely pair.
A really strange combo, as the book calls them. Hoshino is this down-to-earth guy. Initially, he just can't believe Nakata's stories.
But he comes around.
He does. He eventually says something like, I mean, I believe you, but if you'd told me that a week ago, I would have sent you packing. It shows how the surreal can pull anyone in.
And they have this stone, right? This round stone. What's its significance?
Ah, the entrance stone. Its weight changes. Sometimes it's incredibly heavy, like an entrance. Other times it's just an ordinary stone.
So it's a literal key.
Pretty much. A literal device that opens the gateway to other realms, like opening the subconscious. It's a physical link to the metaphysical stuff happening.
And Nakata feels his purposes.
To close that entrance again. Because, as he simply puts it, things that are open have to be shut. A mission to restore some kind of balance.
It's beautifully simple. And his final wish is quite poignant too, isn't it?
Extremely. Hoshino reflects on how Nakata just wanted to be able to read, to visit a library, a dream he never fulfilled.
And instead, his final act is
Burning writing. Sending words into the void. A strange, ironic end for someone so connected to hidden worlds.
which brings us right back to Murakami's use of magical realism. It's not just weird for weirdness' sake.
Absolutely not. He uses magical realism to externalize psychological processes.
Okay, break that down a bit. What does that look like?
Well, instead of just saying a character feels crushing guilt, maybe it literally rains fish or leeches. Or a talking cat might actually voice an aspect of their inner self.
So the weirdness, the talking cats, raining fish, soldiers lost in time, the forest, they're symbols.
Exactly. Symbols for the deep structures of the psyche, our hidden fears, desires, traumas made visible.
What about those brand characters? Johnny Walker, Colonel Sanders. They feel different.
Yeah, they're described as anthropomorphized brands turned into metaphysical tricksters or demons.
Like modern myths.
Sort of echoing Jungian archetypes, maybe, like the shadow, the trickster, suggesting that even these commercial icons can tap into deep collective energies in this dreamscape.
Okay, and Oshima brings in another layer with his talk about living spirits from Japanese literature.
Right, he references the tale of Genji, Lady Rakujo's jealousy, becoming this destructive force.
And the idea is these spirits come from negative emotions.
That's what he suggests. All spring up out of negative emotions. He says the world of the grotesque is the darkness within us.
That's powerful. Comparing ancient times where inner and outer darkness felt linked to now.
Where we have electric lights, but the darkness in our hearts remains virtually unchanged. Makes you think, doesn't it?
It really does. He's asked if love can create these spirits too.
And he says he hasn't really seen an example, but he mentions the chrysanthemum pledge, where a samurai's honor, his promise, lets him become a spirit to visit a friend.
So maybe not love, but profound connection. Intense feeling.
Exactly, transcending the physical. And speaking of ruptures, those raining fish and leeches we mentioned.
They're clear signs, right? Disturbances signaling ruptures between worlds. Things are definitely not right.
Definitely not. So let's really get into the core themes. Fate, identity, the subconscious. Kafka's struggle with that prophecy, it's central.
It forces that question. How much is fake? How much is choice? How much is our own hidden guilt driving us?
Precisely. He embodies that struggle. How much of our life is fate, how much is choice, and how our unconscious guilt can drive our conscious acts. It's a universal battle, really.
And the forest seems key here too. Not just woods, but a metaphysical forest.
Representing the subconscious. When Kafka goes in, he sheds his hard shell, throws away his spray paint, knife, compass.
Giving himself up to it.
Yeah, entering the core of the labyrinth, giving myself up to the void. It's about facing that internal wilderness, your subconscious forest.
And this ties back to Nakata's story too, right?
Yeah.
The 1944 incident, the teacher changing the story. It's all about memory and trauma.
Unresolved trauma, lost memories. Characters are haunted by things they can't quite remember or have lost.
It makes you ask yourself, doesn't it? What stories did I inherit? What hidden fears are guiding me?
Absolutely. And the novel doesn't give easy answers. It really pushes you to accept mystery and ambiguity, not demand perfect plans.
Which connects to Oshima's idea about the container versus the essence, the body versus the inner self.
Yeah, his suggestion to flip it, consider the outer shell, the essence, and the essence only the shell, maybe makes life a whole lot easier to understand. It's counterintuitive thought, finding meaning in the surface, maybe.
Let's pull back for a second and look at Murakami himself. His background seems important for this unique style.
Definitely. Born in Kyoto, grew up in Kobe. Parents taught Japanese literature.
But he rebelled.
Big time. Immersed himself in Western novels, jazz music. That created this unique hybrid worldview you see in his writing.
You really feel that blend. American pop imagery, burgers, Colonel Sanders, baseball alongside deeply Japanese things.
Like Shinto spirits, the weight of WWII trauma, traditional family stuff, it somehow fits together seamlessly in his world.
And if you read his other books, you see these themes again and again.
Oh, yeah. Loneliness, isolation, memory, trauma, accepting the surreal. That's why people often say Kafka on the Shore is his most Murakami novel.
They're all his obsessions kind of crystallized.
Exactly. It's like the ultimate expression of his unique fictional universe.
So as you think about this deep dive, maybe consider your own deep structures of the psyche, those unseen forces shaping your own reality.
And the novel offers some real takeaways for life, I think. First, accept mystery and ambiguity. Stop demanding perfect plans. Trust partial steps. It's okay not to have it all figured out.
And second, dare to face your subconscious forest. Maybe journal, meditate on your dreams, your fears, your longings. Understand that inner landscape.
Yeah, it's like standing by the ocean. As the insight goes, you don't have to solve the ocean. You just have to be with it and keep walking when ready.
That's a great analogy.
This book, this dreamlike story, it tells us we can't fully escape who we are or the strange forces shaping us.
But we can learn to live with them bravely.
Yes. So the final thought for you is, what stands out to you about how Kafka and Nakata confront their own strange realities?
And what might that tell you about facing the mysteries in your own life?